hear me? Okay. My name is Lynn Bono, as Linda said, and I own my catering company with my husband, Skip Schwarzman. And I am here to introduce to you Brian Murray from Shift Capital, who has won the Sunday Suppers Award tonight. So Brian is the co-founder of Shift Capital, and they are an urban real estate group, and they are driven, mission-oriented. They do collaborative resources, and we are sitting in one of their first buildings. It's called Macon Studios, and there's the building behind me called Macon South, and it's called Macon, and that stands for Made in Kensington. And it's a name that's really indicative of what Shift is doing here. We were approached by Brian about collaborating on an event here in Harrogate, and we've met a lot of developers over the years. And I have to say that Brian is not your typical developer. After a stint in the Peace Corps, he started a RET Youth Foundation to help Roma youth in Bulgaria. And from when we first talked to him, he talked in a holistic way about the Kensington community, about socially minded development, and our business visions clicked. So you are sitting in the outcome of that collaboration, 3 years of hard work, careful design, and using the community to build the space. I have watched as Shift has freely lent their spaces and resources to community groups, including Sunday Suppers. And they have a program that they just finished for the Franklin Avenue Storefront Grant, and they provided grants for small businesses. I only see a small part of their involvement, but I do know that Brian and Shift walk the walk. Building the health of the community, I feel, depends on two keystones: education and opportunity. And Linda in Sunday Suppers covers the education aspect in multiple ways. Brian and Shift exemplify creating opportunity. The effect of their work ripples outwards in everything he and Shift does. So last month we asked one of the Macon electricians about hiring a young man who worked here in a temporary fashion, and because we didn't want to poach anybody else's employees, and he texted back with the guy's phone number, and he said, "We're glad when someone gets an opportunity to better themselves. God bless." So that, Brian, is your message. Welcome, Brian.
I don't think this goes. Can everybody hear me? Really? I know acoustics is pretty tough in here. So thank you, Lynn, for the introduction. Also, thank you for introducing us to Linda and Sunday Suppers. Linda, thank you so much for letting us host your events, but also to be a part of it. Well, first off, welcome to FAME. I think FAME is a perfect example of the kind of work that we are doing here. It's a collaboration between two businesses who are using our core business, which is essentially to create beautiful event space in reactivated real estate, but in a way that is respectful to the community and respectful to economic change in this community as well. So I'm going to tell you a little bit where I'm going with this. This is a small talk, I promise, and I'm having such trouble with it. Okay. So the point of this talk is really going to be about depth and how deep as a society we're willing to go to tackle the issues of poverty. So I do hope that you walk away with a full belly, some new friends, and specifically have a greater admiration for the work that Linda Sunday Suppers is doing in this space. Just a little background on us and how we got here. I'm a newcomer to real estate. I fell in love with real estate because I was in love with community development. I fell in love with community development because I spent some time as a social worker in Newark, New Jersey. I was also in the Peace Corps, as Lynn commented on, in Eastern Europe. And
If you step back.
without even, and there's two things that the Peace Corps does fantastically well. The first thing it does is it embeds you into a community. And you are part of another culture, you're part of another community, and you quite literally are in someone else's shoes. The other thing that the Peace Corps does really well is that it changes your role in life. You literally become a bridge. You understand what it means to be an American. It also helps you to understand that we straddle two worlds. On one hand, we were representing American values overseas, which probably couldn't be more important than it is today. But we also become an advocate for another culture. And it was this depth of commitment into a community and neighborhood that I think really started me on my path. The other thing about the Peace Corps was that I learned what happens when philanthropic dollars get disconnected from the ground. And this was kind of what I came home with. I returned home, I went to business school, and I focused on efficient uses of capital to make a better society. So we'll call it impact investment. At the same time, I did my first real estate deal here in Philadelphia, and I discovered for the first time really the predatory nature of landlords and real estate people that are investing in lower income communities. And this was the start of Shift Capital. So we are a mission-driven real estate group. We believe that capital should be aligned with communities. We're at the forefront of the battle against intergenerational poverty, and we are also at the forefront of the effects of displacement and gentrification. A lot of times communities, and in particular communities of need, end up getting run over by the train of change, I'll call it. Change happens quickly and it affects communities, and that opportunity to think about how to include the community is lost a lot of times. And the economic opportunities for that community gets lost, and we see displacement happening. So our model is designed to be deliberate in our approach. And so we include the community early and often. We focus on jobs, and we seek to attract value-aligned partners all along the way. Feast Your Eyes is a perfect example of this. This is not their first rodeo in economic development. They have used their business over the years as a tool to be integrated with the community. They have hired local along the way, and they have brought us fantastic partners like Sunday Suppers. Another great example is Snap Kitchen. Snap Kitchen is a food retail group here in Philadelphia. It sells grab-and-go food around the city, but their commissary kitchen is directly across the street here in our South building. They have over 60 people working for them right now and are local. And that was a firm commitment on their part when they came into this community. Our own company, Shift, we've invested around $50 million in Kensington over the last 3 years. We've created more than 500 temporary and permanent jobs. And we do our best to try to uplift who's here. The best example of this, and those who know me know I share this a lot, is a guy by the name of Jose Tirado. I don't think he's here, but he literally lives across the street. We can look at his house. And the day we bought this building, he came up, he knocked on the door, and introduced himself and said, hey, I'd love to do some work. I can do some demo work, I can do whatever you want. And so we gave him $2,000 contract, and he demoed out the back of this building. Did it in a day. He comes back and he said, hey, I can do a lot more than that. And I said, all right, well, do you have a license? He said, no. I said, do you have insurance? No. And so I said, all right, let's start there. So we helped him get insurance, we helped him get a license. He's now, 3.5 years later, running a crew of 30 people. He's a master electrician, he's a general contractor. He's exactly, and he employs second chance citizens all the time, which has its own challenges and struggles, and is really quite amazing. So once, I guess, you start to see some success on the ground, the natural inclination, and I get this now all the time, is, okay, where are you going to go next? What are you going to do next? What city you're going to go to? What neighborhood are you going to do? And our capitalist and community development worlds are obsessed with scale, with replication, with growing more, doing more, hitting more people as fast as you can. And the truth is, there are a lot of great organizations that have scaled over the years, that have products and services that make a lot of sense to do that. But there's a lack of organizations that do one thing really well and do one thing very deeply in one community. And they're not the organizations you always hear about because they're doing the work in the community. And this is the type of change that really starts to tackle, I think, the deeper issues of poverty. And so that's what brings us here tonight to Sunday Suppers. And